Hello, welcome to the Backyard Mechanics series. In this episode, we're going to repair, yes, we're going to rebuild a 12-volt RV furnace motor. Stay tuned, I'm going to save you guys a ton of cash. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is my Backyard Mechanics series that I like to produce here for you guys, your benefit, because I've tried to find ways to save money, cut corners, but, stay safe. And I have this big motor car, this RV, that has a Suburban forced air 12-volt furnace, propane furnace in it, and the motor will go bad in it from time to time because it's used a lot. So troubleshooting the motor part is your furnace is fine. It pops on, it goes off, it pops on, it gets sluggish, and then it quits altogether. It stops working. That is a symptom of a brush that's worn out. Inside of here, when I open this up, you'll see there's little brushes that have to be replaced instead of buying a whole new motor. Now, I did buy one motor in addition to the motor that's into the unit. That way I can rebuild the motor while the other motor's working in the unit. I can set this one aside that's rebuilt and then waiting for that motor to go bad to rebuild it. In the meantime, I can just swap it out. And that was my method. These things are expensive, but I'm here to save you some money, some frustration, and a lot of headache. In the previous video I did on removing the motor from the furnace, watch that video to see how to remove and replace, reinstall a motor in the unit. In this episode, we're going to take this motor apart. We're going to remove the brushes. I'm going to take you down to the store where I resource my brushes, and then I'm going to buy extra sets of brushes today. We're going to repair this for pennies. Well, maybe a couple of dollars, but let's get this thing apart. There's two Phillips screws or bolts on here, and you got nuts on the other end, and you just remove those two. That's all you have to do. Real easy to do. You don't even need pliers for this unless they're kind of rusted on there, which this one is. So I brought needle nose pliers along just in case I needed to use them, because I may need them for inside. And you can remove this. Be sure you don't lose this. And then we do the other one. Let's just put these back on there so we don't lose them. And now you just separate these pieces from the motor. Now be careful, you have a spacer spring right here. You don't want to lose that. And this is the only part you want to take out for right now. So here's the brushes. Yes, indeed, the brushes are worn down. We're going to cut these brushes out of here. We're going to take them down, and I'm going to replace them. So to get these brushes out, you just pull them out of there like that. Watch that you don't lose these little springs, because this is what your new brushes will go down into. We're going to set those springs aside for right now. I'm going to remove this, and we'll crimp the new one on. I'll cut it right down here. It's okay to cut this, but leave some space for yourself. You're going to need that space. Clip your wire, and you're going to need this. Okay, you only need one of them. That's it. That's the only one you're going to need. And you're going to note that it's a side mount wire. Some of the brushes come with an end mount wire. We're going to go down to the hardware store. We're going to match up the size of brush the closest we can. So let's go through that, and we'll come back and put this back together. Okay, I arrived at the hardware store where I know I can get brushes of a variety of different sizes. So we're gonna go into this place. Their Do It Best is the brands that they sell. So we're gonna go ahead and go see what they have. Now I've got to find out where the brushes are located. It's quite a selection down here. That's why I like this place. And I found them. So we want the ones that are side mount. These are all end mount, at least the picture shows. So we're going to look at them individually. Okay, here's the brush. I'm looking for something. See, you got quite a selection in each box. Ah, side wire mounts right there. Let's see if this is the size. And I scored. They have exactly the same size I need, and it's side mount, but do they have more than just the one? I hope. It looks like they only have 2 in inventory. At least I got 2 and I can rebuild that motor. I was hoping to get an extra set. And I think those brushes are $8.79 a piece. See? Golly. Any close. Oh, and they have to be mounted on the side. And that's it. I only ended up with 2. Mission accomplished. So we got 2, which is that's what we need, 2 brushes. But $8.79 a piece. Those things are a lot more expensive than I thought. It's been about 6 years since I've replaced them before in another motor. So I've got a couple more errands to go. I'm gonna go to the thrift store. That'll be another episode. We'll go home, we'll be back, and we'll install these into the motor. Okay, returned from my adventures into town, got the right product. And I also picked up something else at the hardware store. It says shrink wrap tubes, or shrink fitted tubes. We're gonna apply that also. And we're going to solder this together. So I did put the heat on in the greenhouse. I'm going to take my coat off. All right. To validate that we do have a sure fit, let's trial this. Just pressing it in there and seeing if it is exactly the right one. Okay. It's too wide this way just by a skosh. And the remedy for that I've been using in the past when these things don't fit quite too well is I just put it to the grinder just a touch, just enough to grind enough down to fit in there. It doesn't damage it, but you gotta be careful. Now these came with these little brackets on them. I'm going to cut those off right to the end on both of them. I'm going to take one of these shrink fitting tubes, and they got different sizes in here. See how they got different sizes? We're going to take the smallest one. And I only want a little short piece, so we're going to cut it short. And another one about equally as long. Save this for another time. Okay, heated up my heating iron. And I put the shrink wrap on this wire here. We're going to let it sit loose there for a minute. But now I want to do the other side. Now the spring goes in here like this. And this slides down on the spring. Same spring over here. The springs go up over here. There we go. That goes like that. Again, we have to clip the springs over the top of those flanges because that's what they're there for. I'll give you a close-up. See? The springs are supposed to go over on those sides of the flanges. And so we'll go ahead and put this in place. Put this in place. I'm going to plug in the heat gun. We're going to hit those shrinked tubes with some heat. That should do it. To get to the next process, just pull your armature out of your stator, because we're going to have to put this in here and mount these on this part right there. Don't forget your compression ring. That must go in there. These have to come back. That's hot. Yeah, I'm going to let it cool down for a bit. Now the product I like to use is liquid wrench. I just squirt a little bit in there and of course wipe it down and work that penetrating oil in there, and it increases the life of this. So anytime you take a motor apart, go ahead and squirt some in your bearings. And that way it'll prevent you from having problems in the future with bearings starting to make noise. You don't want that. So here's the awkward part. We got to hold these in while we're placing the armature through here. Okay, I'm using my tweezers to get that down and seated, and it has to seat all the way down. See, it has to clear that. Yeah, and that one too. Okay, we got that one. Now we've got to get this one seated all the way. And see how that seats all the way down? Where those brushes are going to ride on this. That's where you want it, to make sure it's seated all the way down. So now we can reassemble it. And then once we've reassembled it, we can test it. Yep. So I left this end on so I know which way to put it in. So it's a magnet. Watch out, that can suck that thing right out of there. So grab it. When you're doing this, grab it by this shaft and set it down in there ever so carefully. And this has a keeper right there. It only goes in one way, so now we can put this back in. Yeah, see, it has a little notch right there, and it has a little indentation right there. So that's what you guys need to line up when you do that. Give it a twist, and now you can reassemble it. Put your little nut on. We're almost there, folks. Almost. Okay, we're ready to test it out. Now I get to test it out with a Schumacher booster unit that I did a review, or I did a repair on in a previous episode just recently. Check that one out. I replaced the battery in it, so now it's functional. I went down and caught a couple of these wires. I got a whole set of these wires, different kinds, for like doing lighting on my trailers and stuff, to make sure they're done accurately. And this is the product. This is what it looks like. And these come in handy, especially when you're working on stuff like that. So for this application, I'm just going to put one alligator clip into connection right there. Connect the other one into the black wire on the motor, because that is your negative. Of course, red goes to positive. Yep, that's your hot wire. Okay. And we connect the other one to your red clamp. And you turn it on, and there it is. We have a working motor. And hear how quiet that is. Now I have a spare motor to set aside for when the other motor I just replaced in that unit goes bad. We've got the second one ready to go. Well, I'm your host, Jerry Hansen from Pine Meadows Hobby Farm, in my Backyard Mechanics series on DIY. Fix it yourself and save you some money. What was it? $8.79 per brush. So that's how much you're going to spend. But one of these motors, holy moly. I looked at the price of these, and they're like over $100. Save yourself some time, save yourself some money, and enjoy yourself getting the satisfaction of doing your own DIY repair. And again, here is the numbers on the motor in case you want to just go ahead and buy one for that model of furnace that you have. Please stay tuned to more videos. You could do that by subscribing, then clicking that bell icon. That'll alert you to new videos as I upload them. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, leave a compliment. I enjoy compliments or even tips on how to easier get those brushes to stay in while you're putting the armature in. Stay tuned. Be safe, always be kind. I sure hope this helps you guys. Bye-bye now.